Hey class, this is Mr. Yan. Just want to make another video for you just to help you along with the process now of taking your design change of your catapult and then making the necessary changes on your design and then transferring that design and drawing it on Fusion to then have that exported to the laser cutter to make your design change happen as a reality. So it starts with planning. So I'm gonna start this video to show you a little bit. I'm gonna fast forward it. I decided on this piece that you'll see before there was an orthographic sketch that I drew out. I realized that that orthographic sketch might be too small to show the details of what I want to measure. So I'm just going to make a really big blown up version of it. So you see here that I'm drawing that out, and here's the piece that I'm going to modify, and I'm changing up some of the design. So this extension, this piece right here, is what I want to maybe extend out. That's the modification I'm making to this design. So I need to decide how big that's going to be. So for now, I want to copy every other element. I'm going to try to draw that out as best I can, and there's the orthographic sketch I'm getting my numbers from because I had drawn it before, but I realized I want to make sure I do a better job at making it more accurate. So this bottom length comes out to about 79 millimeters, and then you'll see here that I'm using the caliper to try to get the best measure I can, like over and over again. I'm trying to get the best numbers so that I'm not I'm not like being inaccurate with those numbers and details that I need to make sure that I get. So I'm going through, and it looks really fast right now, but it does take a little time to just be patient with that process. And you want to make sure you do a good job with that. So as you're doing this, maybe your partner and yourself, you guys can just take measurements together instead of having one person do it, and then you can compare and just make sure that you've decided on the appropriate measures of these measurements here. So it looks like that bottom edge, I know that I'm measuring that out as 5.94, but it might even be like a 45-degree angle that we're going to be cutting that at. So we can do all that on Fusion. So here's my final drawing, and I want to take this drawing now and put that on Fusion. Now it's unclear that this length that I'm going to be building out, how much that's going to be. It seems like it's almost double the length that it currently is at. So if it's 15, I might be building this middle part out to another 15 millimeters higher. So let's just go ahead and draw this out on Fusion. So you'll see that just minimize this, and you'll see that this is the finished product here, right? Now I did forget to talk about or just measure one part, which is the top ledge of this piece to this ledge, that distance between. That's 4.32 millimeters. So I actually remeasured that and added that in. So we may need that. This might come in handy. So let's go ahead and draw this out. So I'm going to go to Fusion, make sure it's open, and create a sketch. And let's just go to Home here to make sure we're selecting the right side. So I'm going to select this XY plane, and we're going to then draw out the main shape. The main shape that I see in my drawing here is the, oops, not this one. We're going to close this one out. Let's go back out here and get the correct sketch out here. So you'll see that the main shape I see is this rectangular shape, right? And my paper is a little tilted so you can't really see it, but it's a rectangular shape that I want to have drawn on Fusion first. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and let's draw that rectangle. And you'll see that, to kind of redo this real quick, we're going to go 2-point rectangle, and from my sketch I could see that this side is 15.72 millimeters and the bottom length is 79.05. Okay, so I'm going to press enter, and there's my rectangle. Now within the rectangle I need to then go in and take a look at the inner part of this. Now I also do want to create like a midline here. Now probably wondering why we haven't done this yet, but the midline is to mirror whatever drawing, whatever sketch I put on this side, so I don't have to draw this side exactly the same, and there might be some mistakes I make. So I want to just take whatever I draw here, to the best of my ability and then mirror that over this midline. So I'm going to just put the midline in now. Okay, so let's just do that now. So you're going to take a line and you're going to draw a line. Just put it in a spot. You want to make sure the line is straight. So you just want to line it up like that. And then with this line, we're going to highlight it and create a construction line. And as soon as I clicked on that construction line button, the line turned to a dotted line. Okay, and I want to place it in a spot that I know that it's the middle. I roughly guess this being the middle, but if I go to create and I go to dimension, which is also a shortcut is D, I'm going to click on this line, highlight it, and then go to this side, and I want to try to get this distance, remember, to be half of this 79.05. So I'm going to type in right into the box. I'm just going to type in that like I'm typing it into a calculator. 79.05 divided by 2. So I can just put a mathematical formula in there, press enter, and it shifted the line over ever so slightly, but now I know that this line is now in the middle. So this is the distance between this edge and the midline, which is here. This will come in handy later. So let's continue on. We're going to zoom in on this side. I'm going to just zoom in over here, and let's draw this section that we see right over here. So I'm going to highlight this section. So we're going to draw that in on the side. So I'm going to use my line tool for now and just try to eyeball this as the best I can. So I see that there's a bit of a fall off here. It goes in, it goes down, right, and then it goes over. There's a little bit of a ledge, and it goes back up all the way to the top. And so that's the general shape that I see. If you look at the shape going from here down, over, and all the way up. Okay, so let's just let's draw that piece in first, and then we can add on the extension if we need to, just making sure that we have these all set. So for the first thing we need to do, again, we got to dimension this. So I'm going to go to sketch, dimension, and I want to dimension this line, right, that height. And if I look at my drawing, that height actually was 8.14. So 8.14, press enter, and it shortens it to 8.14. I could just move this over a little bit so that it doesn't get in the way. The other line, remember, from between the top and this line, so how far this line comes down, that was the red font that I just typed in there. It's 4.32. So if I go to dimension and click on the top line and on this line, I clicked on both those lines and I move over to the outside, I can type that in. So 4.32, press enter, and that's the distance that we have there. Okay, and then from there we want to just make sure that the other dimensions are all set. So this line, the thickness of this line actually shouldn't be 5. That should be 3.73. 3.73. And I'm getting all these numbers, remember, from the sketch that I drew over here. And that's the same thing that applies to this number. So I'm going to also press D for dimension. Okay, so D for dimension. Click on this line. Remember, that line is the same as the line that I just put in there. So that should also be 3.73. Press enter, and that all moves over. So now I have those lines properly dimensioned, and I have, yeah, transferred over all those numbers. So I'm all set to go. Now, before I press finish sketch, right, let me just move this over and show you that the other side is exactly the same. All right, so the other side is being exactly the same. What I need to do is mirror this over. Now let's just double check. Let's take a look here at my sketch. So here's this line here, 8.14. That's this sketch that I drew in right there. And then the height of this entire rectangular piece, 15.72. Put it in there. The height from this particular point, from here to here, right? That height, it's the same as the opposite of like from there to there. So that will be taken care of. So we don't have to worry about that necessarily because we got the heights of the other pieces. But just to make sure, let's make sure we have the proper depth on this line here. Okay, so we can actually dimension that. I'm going to go over here and press dimension, You could always double check that. So this line is 382. So let's go ahead and just double check that with our measurements. Okay, now it says it'll over dimension it because we've already figured out that this is 0.432. So that makes sense. Let's just cancel it because we know that since this is 8.14 and this is 4.32, this is whatever's left over. And so that's going to be the exact dimension. So if we press finish sketch, you'll see here that we've created this profile, and we could actually then, if we selected that, we could extrude this. But we can't do that without having the other side mirrored. So we jump the gun. So we're going to have to go back to sketch, right click on it, and let's just escape this for now. Let's click on sketch and then right click on it until you see this edit sketch, and then we're going to edit this sketch again. And remember, we put this dotted line in for the mirroring tool. So we're going to go to create, click on mirror. The mirror menu pops up. We're going to select all the lines that we want to mirror. So each of these lines that we've created, we want to mirror. And that's it basically. So then we're going to click on the mirror line. And remember, the mirror line is going to be this dotted line. And as soon as I click on it, watch carefully, 3, 2, 1, it goes over there, and now I have a mirrored shape that was on the other side. So I just pretty much created the same thing by just clicking a couple tools, and now I've created a mirror. Now all these little shapes that you see here that show up, those are different constraints. Those are rules that are applying to those lines to make sure that they are perpendicular and also parallel to each other. So just want to move along here and show you guys how, now that we've done that, we're all set to go. Now, one other thing that we did not do, if we go back to our sketch, is that these little notches here were not drawn in. So let's go ahead and do that as well. Okay, so we're going to go to our line tool and draw in these corners, and that's at 45 degrees. And let's use that mirror tool again. It's the same on the other side. We're going to press mirror, click on this line, make sure we highlight this line, one object selected. We're going to select the mirror line, which is this dotted line, and it shows up right there. So we're going to click OK, and it looks like we're done. So we're going to finish sketch, and then we can extrude this. But remember, one other thing, we keep going back to this, but our design had this extra piece added on. And that extra piece was about the same height as what the original piece was, which was 15.72. So let's add on a piece at the top. So let's go back and edit this sketch again. So edit the sketch. Let's pan this down a little bit, and that shape on top, I could draw it in using this line tool, but I know that that's also a rectangle. If I look at the top, this is a rectangle from here to here. That is a rectangle, and the rectangle is going to be a height of 15.72, but it'll fit right on that piece right above. So if I click on the rectangle tool, make sure it's clicked on it, put my first point down, go to my second point, which is here, and then slide it up, right? Slide that up to 15.72. Press enter, and now I've extended that sketch above. So I'm going to say finish sketch, and now I have those profiles showing. I could then click on extrude, click this top one, this bottom one, and I want to, let's say, extend that out. I'm going to just tilt this to show you guys what it looks like. The thickness of our wood piece is about 3 millimeters. I'm going to just press 3 for 3 mm and press OK. And there's our piece now that has been extended, right, from what we had before. And that's what we're going to then 3D or laser cut out, I should say. So let me just put this the front view so you can compare and see. This was our plan design to extend this out, and we got all the measurements to do that. And then here is the actual. Okay, and if you realize, man, maybe I could extend this out a little further, you could just investigate that a little bit to make sure that they'll fit on there properly. But take some time to practice this, rewatch this video, help each other out, and good luck.